Okay, what is the difference between a refugee and an internally displaced person? And who is responsible for supporting them? Okay, a refugee is a person who's had to flee their home country, actually physically leave their borders, in fear of their life. Because if they stay, due to circumstances out of their control, they might lose their life and the lives of their families might be lost due to ensuing conflict, hunger, a drought, for a variety of reasons. But a refugee is a person who leaves their home country simply because of staying. If they stayed, they would end up losing their life. This is different from an internally displaced person who, again, for the same reasons, would like the opportunity to leave their country for one reason or another that threatens their life, but are unable to do so for a variety of reasons. It may be due to lack of access to transportation. It may be due to the lack of a certain city or a town where they live being besieged by hostile military forces. These are just some examples, but they're unable to do so, but they experience the same conditions of refugee status, which is basically fear for their life. Who is responsible for refugees or internally displaced persons? There are numerous international and domestic laws that pertain to the status of refugees and internally displaced persons. Countries which are members of the United Nations have legal responsibilities as a part of their UN membership to take people who are classified as refugees. The burden of responsibility or the burden of proof of proving that they're refugees is on the fleeing people as well as aid agencies, but countries are not permitted by international law and many domestic laws, including the United States, from turning down refugees who apply for asylum in their own countries. Internally displaced people, whilst they may have access to the same rights as refugees, are unable to take advantage of the same rights and rights that I've just mentioned, simply because they cannot leave their country. There are other conventions, such as the Geneva Convention of the Treatment of Prisoners, but also laws, international laws that mandate governments not to harm citizens. But unfortunately, internally displaced persons are extremely vulnerable because there is nobody to enforce sanctity of life, essentially, within drought-stricken countries or conflict-ridden countries. What is Turkey's largest minority population and why are they stateless? Turkey's largest minority population are the Kurds. The Kurdish people are the largest stateless nation, not just in Turkey, but in the entire world, probably. They encapsulate a modern-day geography which cuts across numerous state lines in the region. Approximately 15 to 20 million Kurdish citizens live in Turkey, and they are Turkish citizens because they don't have their own state. There are large swaths of Kurds also in present-day Syria, in northern parts of Syria, as well as modern-day Iraq. In fact, Iraq is the only part of the world. Iraq is a federal entity, is a federal country, and there is an independent region, the Kurdistan Regional Government, which is on the northern part of Iraq and it borders Turkey, where Kurds have autonomous government and their own parliament and their own leader, Masoud Barzani. And they also occupy they're also domiciled in parts of modern-day Iran. So Kurds in Turkey have existed in Turkey since the founding of the Republic in 1923. The reason that they are stateless, unfortunately, is throughout history, the Kurdish nation or the Kurdish peoples were either essentially under the rulership of the Ottoman Empire, And in the aftermath of 1918, the end of World War One, they became essentially citizens of the newly created states. And as a result, depending on where they live, they have access to a variety of different rights. In Turkey, they are not recognized as an official minority, but they are concentrated in various parts of Turkey's southeastern provinces. The strongest claim of identity where they have is, again, the present-day Iraq, where they are citizens of the Kurdish regional government. Based on Turkey's coup attempt of July 15th of this year, let me see, waking up in public. How is it?
Do you need my...
How is it waking up to the public democratic principles? Yeah, what were you thinking here?
I was going to say...
Based on Turkey's coup attempt of July of this year, how... oh, okay, that's weak, sort of. How is the...
I was going to say... Based on coup...
It's that whole... How is it affecting the Turkish public, you know, thoughts on...
Oh, I see.
On democracy
right,
and
okay.
the formation of democracy. We'll edit all
Okay.
this out.
Based on Turkey's coup attempt of July 15th of this year, Turkey's coup attempt of July 15th this year almost ended its democratic government.
Yes.
Yes.
And then let's pull a democratic government back to them. Like what components?
Well, I guess
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get at is...
Right.
and
Fragility of democracy, that's what I was
yeah,
going.
How is that affecting the Turkish public on... And maybe we don't care, but maybe...
Oh, what measures are being taken to strengthen Turkey's democratic governance structures? Turkey experienced a coup d'etat which almost overthrew its democratic government on July 15th. How has that coup attempted the strength of democratic governance structures?
Perfect.
And then what I might want to say, and what types of structure, and what are those structures for them, so that they have to think about it, and then when they pull out each of those, it's going to reflect on the United States without us having to say.
Okay. Well, I can touch upon those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, here we go. On July 15th, 2016, Turkey experienced a coup d'etat which almost overthrew its democratically elected government and president. How did this coup attempt Turkey's democratic governance structures, its strength of its democracy, and what can be classified as democratic governance structures? Democratic governance structures come across in a variety of ways, and they exist in a variety of ways. The most easily recognizable amongst those is free and fair elections that should take place periodically to elect governments. It also includes freedom of expression, freedom to choose who you would like to govern, standing for elected office, and also associational and journalistic freedoms which allow publics access to free flow of information so that citizens can make up their own mind as to which individual or set of individuals they would like to choose as their governors. Now, Turkey's experience with the coup d'etat on July 15th has very much impacted its democratic governance structures in a variety of ways, most of them negative. Although the president and the civilian authorities were successful in thwarting the coup attempt, since July 15th, the government of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has initiated wide crackdowns on some of the structures that I've just mentioned. Freedom of speech and expression, journalistic freedoms have been severely curtailed. Free and fair elections are thought to be under threat because all critical media, as well as members or journalists that are members of these media outlets, have either been detained, suspended, or fired from their positions of work. which means that the public in Turkey does not necessarily have access to free and independently verified information, which would allow them to make up their minds about who to choose. And when it stands to, it is unclear as of yet as to whether Turks will have a clear set of choices when they have to select their next president or their next government. So it's somewhat precarious, and this should help underscore the fact that democratic governance structures, no matter where you live, can be and often are extremely fragile.